Welcome to Know His Love Stories, where we listen to the voice of the Father through his children. Today's story comes to us from Katherine. She's originally from around Detroit, Michigan. She studied at Valparaiso University, where she played volleyball and basketball. She studied business management and sports management, and is currently working on a master's in theology through the Augustine Institute. She's also currently serving as a focus missionary. This is a Know His Love story.
So I was born and raised Catholic. It was kind of chosen for me, just like that God was going to be in my life. But again, it never really became personal for me for a long time. And now that I know the love of God and I experience it daily, especially as a focus missionary, I realized that I did not know the love of God during my first 3.5 years of college. Because especially when you're on your own in college and away from your family and away from your upbringing of like, okay, we're told that we're going to church on Sundays. We're told that we're going to pray before meals. Like all these things were chosen for me. I realized going to college that I got to choose my faith. I got to choose what I believed on my own. And so I think that's like the biggest time in my life where I realized I didn't know God personally. And the first 3.5 years of college, I was looking for love in men. I was looking for love in relationships and really just looking for love for attention from my friends, from my teammates on the volleyball team, just to like me and searching for that love in those fleeting and unsatisfying things that I didn't honestly know that God wanted to love me personally and wanted to have a relationship with me. I just was like, okay, I'll go to mass on Sunday when I can. For the first 3.5 years, I was going on Sundays, maybe once a month, and I only went because they were serving a home cooked meal after mass. So I wanted that home cooked meal. And that would like bring me to church, and I just like would feel good after going to church and like would want that feeling of like, oh, I did a good thing by going to church this month or whatever it was. And so I really just saw God as someone who is just some guy up there in the sky looking over me and looking over everyone around me who does good. Just like, yeah, if you do good things, if you do good deeds, if you're a good person, God's going to look out for you, protect you, and care for you. And that's kind of how I saw God. And like, he didn't really know me personally. And so, yeah, it's a struggle as I look back on it because this time in my life, ever since before my senior year of college, it was still a good time of my life. Like everything seemed to be going well. School was going really well. Volleyball was going great. I had great friends. My family was super healthy and just like, yeah, really loving and cared for me and supported me. They missed like a handful. I could count the number of times on my hand how many games they missed of my volleyball career in college, which is so cool. But yeah, I was like, it was such a good time, yet I still didn't know his love personally. But then when I came to know God and know his love for me is when my life started to have all these challenges. I was getting a new job, I was graduating college, so I was ending school, something that was I was really good at and that was really important to me. I was moving, and yeah, then my family started to have cancer, kind of just popping up with my mom and my grandparents, which we didn't have any traces within it. And I just like realized that like God wanted me to know his love at the exact moment that he wanted me to, because it was as soon as I started having all these challenges in my life that I was able to get through these with so much peace and so much confidence that if I didn't know his love would have been a huge struggle and challenge for me. The moment that God's love became real and personal for me was when I was in Mexico City on a mission trip. And I, like I mentioned before, was not going to church very often, but saw that there was a spring break trip to Mexico City and I wanted to get out of the country for spring break, so I said yes to going. My priest convinced my mom to allow me to go to one of the poorest country or cities in the world. So so it was in this moment in Mexico City where we went to this place called the Dump. And the Dump is a place where people lived in this literal trash dump. They ate the trash, they built their houses out of their trash, and they worked out of the trash, picking out the recycled items to provide for their families. So in this like darkest, most smelliest, places in the world is where I experienced God's love and his real love for me. There was a young girl, her name was Guadalupe, And she came running up to me as soon as we got off the bus. And a lot of people in Mexico were a fan of my red hair because not many people had red hair in Mexico City. So I think she was just fascinated and by me, and she grabbed my hand and she pulled me off into the dump, and we played around in the trash, and she showed me her house that was made out of the trash, and we just ran around for an hour, 2 hours, and so on. But we came to the dump to bring clean water and clean food. And so after a while, I went over and got her some clean water and gave her the glass. And she took a big sip of the glass of water. And then after she was done, she handed me the water. And I was like, no, like that's for you, like that's for you, like not for me. And she insisted. She like folded her arms. She's like, no, and like she gave it to me until I took a sip of that water. So I took the tiny sip and I gave it back to her. She took another big sip and then she gave it back to me again because again, she knew that I was running around with her. She knew that I was thirsty as well. And so we did this back and forth until the cup of water was gone. And I just realized how much love she had for me, even though I was going there to love her. And I just saw Jesus Christ so much in her that it changed my life. Yeah, it completely overwhelmed me. And so we did this back and forth. And then when eventually a couple minutes later was one of the time that we had to leave. And as soon as I turned around to leave, tears just began rolling down my face because as I turned back around to wave to her, I just saw her crying and screaming in her mother's lap, yelling at me not to leave. And man, did she impact me more and change my life more than I could have even helped her. And like, that's what I was going to do. And so it was just like an incredible, profound moment in that moment. But there was lots of other experiences on that mission trip that I took at the end of my senior year of college, where I really encountered Christ's love in the poor, and just like to see that he loves each of us through them and like through us. It was just such a profound, and how that these people could still love and be so joyful knowing his love when I didn't even know his love and was still like quote unquote happy. But man, I like my life was just changed and my heart was transformed when I experienced his love in the poor and the homeless and the lonely and in all the other widows and orphans that we also encountered in Mexico City that week. So it was just, yeah, an incredible, profound moment that I realized that, yeah, his love is personal and he wants me to know that. And another thing that happened for me on that mission trip was that I encountered and saw other people, other students my age who had a personal relationship with God and wanted that and wanted to know his love. And I was always like, oh yeah, when I'm older, when I'm a grandma and I have grandkids, I can really get to know Jesus and have that relationship. But yeah, there's people my age who cared about their faith and wanted that. And I hadn't been around our community in college to really see that. So I began to see God and his love for all my friends and my family and wanted it to experience that same love that they did. Yeah, so it was just an incredible time. And if you don't mind, I want to share one more story. Yeah, after I came back from Mexico City, I was playing on the women's basketball team at Valparaiso University as well my senior year. So the very next day we came back from that mission trip was senior night, and we had a basketball game that day. Senior night, we had a big party for all the seniors. We went out and we went to the bars. And I just remember this distinct moment when I saw that the love my friends were looking for at the bar. And I realized that that was not the same love that I just experienced in Mexico City. And that was not the love that they deserve. And then I realized that that was also the love that I was looking for all my college life and the past 3 years. And just seeing my friends, yeah, just desire and look for that love. And then, like, bringing that moment back to Guadalupe and the way that she loved me, I realized that I wasn't searching and I didn't know the true love that my heart deserved. And so, yeah, I remember being in that bar and I just had tears rolling down my face. I ran to the bathroom and I was like, my life needs to change. And like, that was like that next moment, like coming back. Because I really didn't know many people like going to Mexico City. I knew one other person going on that trip and she was one of my teammates on the volleyball team. So coming back, I didn't know how I was going to change my life, what any of this meant, or what to do. So to be a beloved daughter and child of God means to surrender completely into the Father's open arms and to trust Him to care completely for you. And I've been realizing through prayer and through my experience that as God calls me deeper into my identity as his beloved daughter is a call of trust. Because how could we not trust that a father has a good plan and has beautiful things for his beloved daughter. And so, yeah, if I am his beloved daughter, then he's calling me to trust that he loves his beloved daughter. So, yeah, I think like surrender and trust is the two things that come to mind when I'm knowing my identity as his daughter. My favorite way that God shows his personal love for me is in the Eucharist. And so I went through a time and a rough breakup about over a year ago. And in particular, in the midst of a pandemic, too. So, where I was just really missing and searching for that like physical love and affection, but really searching for the physical love of God. And I realized that his love is greatest in the greatest gift he left us, which is in the Eucharist, his gift of his own body and blood. And that's how much he loves us. And he shows us that every day we have the chance to receive that or to go and pray in adoration with him physically there. And it's just like, yeah, as I was just longing for that and like longing, like just even for the physical touch, like in the midst of that pandemic of just like a hug, after like, especially this dark time in my life, I realized that Jesus was there hugging my heart all along every time I received the Eucharist. What I would say to encourage someone who does not maybe know God's personal love for them is just come and see for yourself. And that it's not a single profound moment that we realize God's love for us, but it's a daily, continual conversion to know him and to know his love more and more. And I think a lot of people think of conversion as like this one big moment. And even as I share, like I had like a profound moment on that mission trip, but it wasn't right away that I knew his love. And I know his love way more now than I ever could have imagined still when I encountered Guadalupe in Mexico City. So just recognizing and sharing and encouraging them that conversion is a continual yes to surrender our identity and trust in his love for us each and every single day.
Thank you for listening to Katherine's story. I would love to share your story as well. Please connect with us on social media or by clicking on the Join Us link at knowHis.love.